I was finally going to be able to do something that was at the back of my mind for so long. But at the same time, all these questions came creeping in. Was I still fast enough? Could I still race wheel to wheel with people after being away from the sport for almost 10 years? But I knew that the only way to answer this question was to give it a shot. Could I still do it? We'd never know if we didn't try.
Hi, this is Matt Solomon. We're in Hong Kong. This is my first diary entry. Getting ready for the race in 2 weeks in Spain. I've been competing in Asia for the last 2 years, and this year I'm going to Europe, and it's a huge opportunity for me to race with the best in the world.
Racing was the first hobby that I really had. It's something that I've been doing since I was 10, and it's taken me all the way through to my adult life. So it was something I really had to push myself to do, and very early on I knew this was something that I wanted to end up doing. I still remember sitting on the grid for my first ever race. At that time in Hong Kong, there were not many other junior drivers on the grid, so I was one of, I think, 3 or 4 that were there, and it was nerve-wracking. I remember being super nervous before my first race, but the feeling of being in the cart and going at speed and fighting wheel to wheel with other people was just something that is so hard to describe, but just felt so natural to me, and something that you just want to chase over and over and over. The feeling of speed, that adrenaline is really addicting. It's somewhere I really felt at home. It's still pretty surreal to think that coming from Hong Kong to be able to race on the global stage with some of the best drivers in the world was really a dream come true. It was very special looking back at those moments. I can't say I knew where it was going to take me, but I did know that it was something I wanted to do. The ultimate goal at the time was to get to the pinnacle of motorsport, which is Formula 1. And everything was looking good. We were in F3 against the top drivers in the world, we were testing with some of the best teams in Europe, and you have this goal in your mind, but that's when plans just kind of fell apart. And so with most things in life, they don't always go according to plan. When I graduated in 2018, that was also the same year that my racing came to an end. And even though I was still involved with racing, some GT races here and there, some driver coaching, some track days, my priorities just weren't the same. The F1 dream at that point was no longer achievable. So at the end of 2018, I hung up my helmet for the last time. At which point I came back to Hong Kong and found myself working with a tech startup called Animoca Brands, working in Web3. And over the years that followed, I ended up working on a number of different projects, from MotoGP to working with some top drivers around the world like Juan Pablo Montoya and his son Sebastian, worked with Joey Logano, Brad Binder. It's clear that even with the work I was doing, racing was always in my periphery. And deep down, I feel like I wasn't fully satisfied. I felt like I had an itch to scratch. And while I was working in Web3, that's when I met Amos and Maeve, otherwise known as Pewcast.
Babe, do you know people in Dubai don't know who the Flintstones are? But the people in Abu Dhabi do?
Abu Dhabi do.
I knew it.
We met over a Twitter space. I was a guest on one of their shows, and we happened to bond over a shared love of motorsport. So we joked about F1, which ultimately led to us starting Web3GP.
Hey guys, we are at the first ever activation of Web3 GP. I'm with my co-host, finally, Maeve Nose.
Maeve Nose here reporting for duty. I was never away, just all y'all know. First time, first of many, beginning of all.
I think our short-term goal is to basically put just like-minded people together that love racing. You know, like given like our nature being in this this particular niche called Web3, it's very exciting.
And all of a sudden, you know, I had this one guy that came in. He was doing Motorverse, and that whole conversation, like, you know, you have with people for 1 hour, you just feel like, okay, you know, this is somebody that I can vibe together. I think that's the first time when I'd be like, alright, this guy's an F3 driver. I love F1, so I gotta know who this guy is.
We had a crazy idea. What if I dusted off my helmet, laced up my boots, got back in a car, and went racing for real?
Where's the confidence, bro? You will.
First time in a race for a long time.
The day is here, bro. Tomorrow, race 6 a.m. Motorsport. I gotta show people, like, you know, I'm a hardcore F1 fan, and today lunch, when I sit down, it's like, do you watch F1? It's like, yeah. What's up?
I'm feeling good. I don't think the nerves have set in yet. I think I'm just excited, man, more than anything, just to get back in the car, get racing again. I'm just, yeah, can't wait.
Matt told us that he wanted to race. That was a shocker, hands down. Took me a minute to process. Yeah.
I am having pre-race jitters. I'm nervous for my boy, right?
But as usual, we are pretty good investors, so we invest in the right team. It's called W3GP. We got the right sponsors, and it's very important to invest in the right driver. So we got all of that. So yeah, pretty excited.
Racing is notoriously expensive. To compete in a serious championship was going to cost a lot of money. So here's what we needed. Step 1, find a sponsor. And that's when we got talking to Rec Drinks. Rec Drinks is a leading drinks brand in the Web3 space, with flavored sparkling waters and a token that sits behind the product. We saw the bigger picture of turning this whole thing into a web series that would bring a bigger audience to this emerging market that was Web3. Step 2, enter a race. The MSCC Miata Spec Series is one of the most competitive championships in the Philippines. It's run by Mazda Philippines and spans 4 weekends across the year. There are 2 races each weekend with a total of 8 races. My teammates are Tyson C, a professional racer and the reigning MSCC Spec Series champion, as well as Angie Mee King, one of the biggest automotive influencers in the Philippines and a professional drifter and racer. So with that, we had a car to race and a championship to compete in. This would be the perfect opportunity for me to dust off the cobwebs, get back into the swing of things, and really answer that question if we could get results and ultimately win. I knew this was going to be fun, but it wasn't going to be easy. And before I knew it, race 1 was right around the corner.
6:41. We just had some breakfast, had a little cereal and fruit. I don't like having a massive meal before the day, even though I know I should have something. So yeah, I'm feeling good, feeling ready, feeling awake, feeling alive. Had a shower, had a little coffee, ready to go.
And showing up to the track for the first time was a pretty surreal feeling. But seeing so many familiar faces really brought me back into the world of racing again.
Bro, it's just good vibes, man. Like, it feels good, bro. It's exciting. It's exciting. So many people that I like have known since go-karting days have been here. So like, I've known them like almost 20 years, you know? It's crazy. It's good. It's good.
After saying hi to everyone, I headed over to our pit box to get ready for practice for the first race.
Just make sure that still remember where the track goes, where to turn left, where not to turn left.
At this point, I was quite nervous, but very focused on trying to do a good job, trying to set a good lap time to make sure that we were at the front of the grid for qualifying in race 1.
The car feels nice. The car feels so nice. The new tires, the new GT radial tires are much grippier than the ones I tried last time. Concept 1 wheels, car feels a lot lighter. They're lighter rims as well, so yeah, everything just feels a little bit more snappy, a little bit sharper. So yeah, it's good fun. It's good fun. But there, the first session, just kind of just dialing everything in, just getting a feel for it again. So yeah, we'll be alright.
Qualifying went pretty well. I managed to do a lap time good enough for 3rd, but we had a few issues that started to creep up in qualifying. The gearbox wasn't quite right.
The clutch feels like it's not going all the way in. As the laps get on, as it got hot, it's like really hard to like shift into gear now.
Okay. Yeah, we'll park it now.
So starting the race 3rd, I was in a really good position to at least get the first podium of the year, but as soon as the lights went out, I knew something was wrong. The gearbox had a serious issue, and I couldn't change up into 4th gear. So very quickly, right after the start, I dropped all the way to the back and tried a lot of different things to get it going again, to get it fixed, but unfortunately, it was terminal. So we had to pull the car back in the pits, and it was a DNF in race 1. Everything felt off. It was just undrivable. Even though it was just a mechanical issue, the doubts were still there. I wasn't able to finish that race and prove to myself whether or not I could still do it.
This is the first time that I'm watching Solly race. Unfortunately, I have not seen the full potential yet, so I'm excited for the race too. We're gonna see more action.
So basically there's a problem with the clutch plate on the car. So what we thought was kind of just a small issue has turned out to be a slightly bigger one. So we're just trying to find, so Edgin and Windy and Steven are talking right now to try and figure out like what we do, whether or not we can swap cars or there are other parts or something. I don't think we're going to be able to swap out the whole clutch. So we'll see.
What happened was we had problems with a secondary slave, and to solve that we were able to get the part from another car. But then I think we damaged the pressure plate from the previous session because you were trying to chuck it in, but that's what you're supposed to do. So now we managed to hijack one of the cars. So we might skip qualifying and then we'll just do the race in that second car.
All right.
Yeah.
Start from the back?
Start from the back. Yeah. I think top 4, top 5, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll try. Unfortunately, didn't finish the first race, which you never wanna do, but we'll go again. Still another race this afternoon.
Here it goes on the Akashi curve. Can Matt Sullivan get closer?